As the anti-tax protest turned ugly during the demonstrations across the country, and the total number of those who lost their lives is yet to be confirmed, given reports of more chaos that rocked areas such as Githurai as well as Rongai. We'll be discussing that as well in the course of the broadcast. Many thanks for joining us. Let's take a look at the news making headlines this morning. Now, protests continued to rock Nairobi County, paralyzing businesses despite the low turnout of demonstrators. The demonstrators who had planned to occupy State House were overpowered by police officers who lobbed tear gas canisters on them as well as KDF reinforcement. Now, this came a day after President William Ruto bowed to pressure to withdraw the finance bill. Harriet Chimea reports on the youthful sustained protests in the capital city yesterday.
All roads in the city were clear for the better part of the morning hours, with shops remaining closed and police officers manning and barricading roads to State House. At 12 noon, action began as protesters marched to town. However, this time round, they were met with tear gas canisters and heavy police presence, including the reinforcement of Kenya Defence Forces. Unlike the previous mass rallies, today the turnout was low. However, these small gatherings of youth were relentless. Case in point, a lady carrying a cart who was part of the crowd. Cannon trucks, police vehicles patrolled around the city all day. And for over 6 hours, police officers and relentless youths engaged in running battles. Those who were caught had it rough, either by canes or shackles. Police officers were also keen to put out small fires that had been lit by the crowds. Ambulances were also making rounds to offer any assistance to those who needed it. Evident destruction by the protesters was characterized by stones, peppers, and uprooted temporary stalls. Harriet Chimea, K24.
High Court Judge Justice Lawrence Mugambi, in his ruling on the deployment of defense forces to assist in quelling unrest in the ongoing Gen Z protests, has given the green light, saying the gazettement by the Ministry of Defense was done in accordance with the Constitution. Issuing the orders during a virtual ruling, Mugambi noted that the CS for Defense acted within the stipulations of the law, which states that the Kenya Defense Forces can be deployed to assist in policing authorities to preserve order. He further directed that the government issues a detailed scope of the deployment of the forces within 2 days to alleviate loopholes raising concerns on the deployment. The court has also retained residual powers, and the case remains open in the duration of the deployment of the defense forces.
I make the following conclusions. One, given the eruption and the loss of control of the national police of the situation that followed the public demonstration on the 25th of June 2024, thus necessitating the emergency deployment of the military to arrest the deteriorating situation, which endangered life, property, and critical government infrastructure, the application of Article 241B was properly invoked in the circumstances. Two, that the Gazette notice, however, does not inform the public fully about the military intervention, hence the apprehension and suspicion being depicted by the public, which fears that its liberties under the Constitution may be put in jeopardy. The scope of intervention and duration must therefore be defined or addressed. Consequently, I make the following interim orders. One, that the continuation of the military in assisting the police is necessary in view of the need to preserve order, peace and public safety and protect critical infrastructure, and is upheld as it is in line with the provisions of the Constitution and the relevant statutes. 2. That it is necessary and is hereby directed that the terms of engagement, duration of engagement, areas of engagement be clearly defined and gazetted within the next 2 days to alleviate the public fear that their liberties might be put in jeopardy and give public confidence that the liberties will be observed during the duration of such military engagements. Number 3, that the court shall retain residual powers, and therefore that this file shall remain open in the course of this petition and after to receive and deal with any complaints of violation for as long as the duration of the military intervention lasts.
Gishu County remained calm yesterday, unlike Tuesday when Eldoret town was marred by violent demonstrations as police engaged demonstrators during the anti-finance bill protests. A heavy police presence was witnessed in the North Rift town, deployed to deal with protesters who did not come out. However, groups of youth were also seen patrolling the town armed with rungus and arrows, ostensibly looking for protesters whom they accuse of destroying their businesses. Timothy Simwa with the details.
Relative calm and tranquility was the mood in Eldoret town in Gishu County today. The city of champions is still reeling from the mayhem of Tuesday 25th demonstrations. Destruction and looting painted the town when protesters went on rampage during a fierce battle with the police. Amid the calm, tension remained palpable with a heavy deployment of police. They were strategically placed in every corner of the town, while others patrolled the streets. Members of the public went about their daily routines. Transport was once again flowing uninterrupted.
We want to call upon the Gen Zs. Tafadhali tusiingize mambo ambayo haitusaidii katika hii mambo ya kuita serikali. Watupatie nafasi kusikiza vijana. Kuna maduka ya vijana ilivunjwa jana. Sasa mimi niulize vijana, kama mnasema serikali imewafinyilia, kuna kijana amejituma, ameweka biashara yake, unakuja kuivunja. Sasa mnataka tusaidie vijana ama tunawaharibu? Wezi ambao wanaingia kwa maandamano ya Gen Z washindwe kabisa.
Sources say the number of police officers was reinforced from neighboring counties. In a twist of events, however, a group of youth embedded with county askaris embarked on streets patrol. The group that has spoken against demonstrations was armed with wooden batons, with some wielding bows and arrows. Anyone suspected to be a protester or those who dared to film them as they traversed the town with bravado faced their wrath.
Kama watu wanataka waandamanie town yao. Hapa town Uasin Gishu tumekataa. Na tuko na uchungu sana vile walichoma waliharibu town yetu. Na kwa hivyo tumeamua kama wakaaji wa Uasin Gishu kuwa wakileta maandamano yao hapa watapata chemta makuni.
Sisi kama vijana tumekaa kangari tujunge hii town yetu. Hii ni nchi yetu na sisi tunapenda Kenya.
They chanted traditional songs before congregating at the county headquarters. On Wednesday, they installed a wheelbarrow post in one of the roundabouts and threatened to face off with protesters today. Police observed the entire scene unravel from a distance. Timothy Simwa, K24 TV.
Over 100 suspects, including 15 minors, have been arraigned in the Naivasha court and charged with raiding and looting property of a worth over 100 million shillings during the ongoing demonstrations in the town. The incident came as police heightened patrols, mainly near supermarkets, while launching a search for property stolen from supermarkets.
123 suspects, including 19 women, have been presented in a Naivasha court and charged with looting and destroying Naivasha supermarket, Naivasha's members of parliament office and Epo Hotel
during the anti-finance bill protest that took place for the better part of last week and earlier this week. Appearing virtually before Naivasha Principal Magistrate Juliana Ndengere, the over 100 suspects were charged with 3 counts of stealing, malicious damage and being in possession of stolen goods from Naivas supermarket, property worth over 70 million shillings. Other suspects who were not presented before the magistrate were charged with raiding the MP's office and IPCO Hotel, stealing property worth over 30 million shillings. However, all suspects denied the charges and were released on a cash bond of 200,000 shillings and a surety of the same amount or a cash bail of 100,000 shillings, failure at which they will be remanded at Naivasha Remand Prison. The case will come up for mention again on the 16th of July.
Culprits.
According to Naivasha OCPD Stephen Kirui, more armed anti-riot officers drawn from prisons and anti-stock theft unit have been dispatched in the town to maintain calm.
The situation now, as we speak, is calm. The town is back to normalcy and business is back to normal. But still we have enough security officers at the ground patrolling within the town to see whether there will be any other team which may be thinking to commit several crimes, but we are on the ground to make sure that the place is calm.
On Tuesday, Kenyans had thronged the streets to protest against the finance bill that saw a part of demonstrators breach parliament, damage properties, loot businesses, including those of members of parliament who supported the bill. Bentura Kwambuka, K24 TV.
Gen Z demonstrators in Mombasa yesterday continued to press on with their demonstrations, expressing their dissatisfaction with President William Ruto's promise to withdraw the controversial finance bill. They have also called to the president to apologize to Kenyans and the youth for referring to them as criminals and to take responsibility for those who lost their lives.
Gen Z demonstrators in Mombasa continue with their demonstrations, paralyzing transport and business in the city. The demonstrators who converge at the famous Elephant Tusk call on President William Ruto to come out clear what he meant by withdrawing the controversial finance bill, expressing fears that they might have been duped.
Our mission was to hold a vigil and to talk to the president of this nation and to tell him that the people of this nation and the youth are very informed. We know Article 115 states clearly that he do not have any power whatsoever to withdraw a bill.
Finance bill. What Ruto said yesterday, it's total scam. President cannot withdraw a bill. He has only 2 powers, assent or reject.
They walked along the streets of Mombasa, chanting songs, demanding justice for their colleagues who have been killed and those who are nursing injuries in various hospitals.
So, Mr. President, don't lie to Kenyans. We are learned. You cannot lie to us every time. Do what Kenyans are telling you to do. Resign and go. We don't need you. It's no longer about the bill. It's about Ruto must go.
But upon reaching Mombe Tayari, a group of looters joined them, forcing the youth to retreat, leaving the gangs vandalizing property and stealing from innocent Kenyans. Motorists and pedestrians were robbed of their belongings along Sabasaba Road to Buxton and within Coast General areas, forcing police to intervene. The youth have condemned and distanced themselves from the looters, action that left traders counting losses.
Kuna watu wametujoin, sijui wametumwa na kina nani, that are trying to cause chaos. Do not associate that with us as the youth who started this from day one.
Boniface Msangi, K24, Mombasa.
Former presidential aspirant Muthiora Kariara was found last night drugged and unconscious at Lenana Racecourse area in Nairobi County 18 hours after his abduction. The vocal activist was abducted by unknown persons during this week's Tuesday demos and taken to an unknown location. And as Media Kisienya reports, Joshua Okayo, the president of the Kenya School of Law Student Association, is yet to be found.
With limited help from authorities and local law enforcement, Kenyan families, relatives and friends continue to worry over the safety of the loved ones who are on the front line in the anti-finance bill protest following the uproar over the spike in cases of abductions. The dreaded knock in the dead of the night and the pounding of doors with heavy military boots is back. Incidents witnessed 3 decades ago of men in civilian clothes whisking away Kenyans.
I don't know what happened there but all I remember is there's a vehicle that came and I was grabbed. And after I was dragged, I don't remember what else happened after that. So I passed out.
2022 presidential aspirant Muthoni Kariara is one among the over 50 Kenyans who were part of the protest and abducted by unidentified plainclothes officers. He is, however, alive with a traumatizing life memory. We found him at his place with his family moments after he was admitted in hospital, drugged and left unconscious.
The next time I found myself in some house, I didn't know where it was. I didn't know what time that was, but nobody was saying anything. So I figured out I'm not in control of anything. I asked a few questions to the guy. There's a guy that was with me, and he just seemed like I was his guest. And he told me whatever is going on is going to be explained to me. So I waited for an explanation. None was forthcoming. I kept quiet, I remained calm, and nothing was said to me until later on when they said we need to go. And at that point I figured out they're gonna take me to those places where they interrogate people. But before they did, I was given an injection around here, and I think I passed out after that. And the next time I was in the boot of a car, and that's where I remained. I was in between being awake and asleep, and for the whole day, that's just how yesterday was for me.
He can barely speak but struggles to explain his ordeal, which he says he wouldn't wish even on his worst enemy.
We were along Koinange Street.
His wife Tracy Ishmael, on the other hand, is condemning the act which she says has left them with lifetime wounds of insecurity.
Simu ililia hiyo around 12 ilikuwa imefika 12 saa 6 hapo. Huyo mtu nikaeka loudspeaker, akaniuliza wewe ni Tracy? Nikamwambia akaniambia kwa Kikuyu, alikuwa ananiongelesha kwa Kikuyu. Akaniuliza Muthoni ni nani kwako? Nikamjibu. Akasema haya, unajua Lenana? Kuja Lenana. Nikamwambia kufanya nini? Akaniambia niko na yeye hapa nani? Ni kama amelewa. Kitu ya kwanza ilikuja kwa mind yangu ni Muthoni hanywi pombe. Amelewa vipi? Nilimwambia tu Muthoni hanywi pombe. Alafu nikamwambia anyway tunakuja. So tukatoka na brother yake na cousin yake na my aunties. Then wale watu walikuwa wamesimama hapo, hata hawasaidii, hawafanyi chochote, wamesimama ni kama it's none of their business. So kwa akili yangu niko kama nyinyi ndio mmetuitia huyo mtu, mnafaa kuwa mnamshughulikia ya. Hawakuwa wanafanya chochote, wamesimama like ni spectators tu. Then sisi tukambeba, tukamweka kwa gari, tukaondoka, tukaona vile yuko, he's unconscious, haongei, hasemi, haezi simama, haezi fanya chochote. So tukampeleka hospitali hapa Mary Immaculate. Walipomwona tu kitu ya kwanza walifanya ni kumweka drip. Wakamweka nini mbili na akadungwa sindani. Alafu ndio daktari akatuambia anakaa ni kama alikuwa drugged or something. Then akatupea madawa zingine na akasema pia ana need kufanywa scan ya kichwa kwa sababu alikuwa na seizures mara mbili tukiwa hapo hospitali.
Free Joshua Okayo. We want Joshua Okayo.
Meanwhile, the Kenya School of Law Association has also come out calling for the release of their president Joshua Okayo, abducted on Tuesday. They allege the government is responsible for the abductions and little is being done to release him.
We are just calling upon those who are holding him to just release Joshua.
I'm in trouble. Please track my phone. I'm in trouble. That is not a message that at this day and age should be sent by someone you're concerned about and someone you care about. Joshua was abducted in Rongai in the safety of his home, and we wish to communicate that we want Joshua released.
Two of our Kenya School of Law students were abducted on Tuesday. We have no idea what they went through because I can guarantee you that they are shaken to the core. They cannot even speak. And these were members who are very vocal.
As human rights activists intensify their plight for the release of those abducted, the government, and particularly the Ministry of Interior, continues to be mum.
All the people they mentioned have since been found in police custody, and those that were already processed were already released.
Milia Kisenya, K24 TV.
Meanwhile, families who lost their kin to the mass protests on Tuesday this week have called on relevant authorities to expedite measures to ensure that justice is served. As more bodies await to be identified at various morgue facilities across the country, families who were affected by the protests have urged the government to stand by its promise to compensate them. This comes as human rights organizations have raised over 10 million shillings to aid the affected families.
The aftermath of the Tuesday mass protests, which turned deadly. 2 days later, families still trickle at the Nairobi City mortuary to identify the bodies of their loved ones. For a family from Kirinyaga County, things will never be the same after the death of their child in the violent protest. The family of Joseph Mwangi, who arrived at this morgue facility, could not hide their pain after identifying the body of their 20-year-old kin, who brutally died after being shot dead.
Alikuja maandamano, bahati mbaya kakanyagwa na watu, PMB hata akona risasi, hatuna pesa ya kutoa, hata mshahara hajachukua. Amefanya leo ni 28. Amefanya mpaka 29 alikufa. Na pesa nimeregister ya kupeleka kwa account pesa yake, nikamtafutia kazi sasa.
According to the family, the tragedy has left them in a dilemma with no financial means of burying him.
Kijana yangu first born, imagine. Amesoma mpaka form 4. Mama yake ameikangana, amestruggle. Sasa imepata kazi ndio hii maandamano akakufa.
This is one of the many families who are in the quest for justice for the death of their kin.
It's so sad, inauma sana. Not only us, kuna wengine pia inawapata. It's so sad. Na tunaomba pia wasimame na wazazi wote wale ambao wamepoteza watoto wao.
Officials from the human rights organizations have noted that there are still several bodies yet to be identified by their families in various facilities.
Most of the doctors are afraid of leaving their houses today because of the maandamano, and that tomorrow, without a doubt, hata yeye akihitajika, he will come here. So we've also talked to those other families. We've requested them if they are willing to wait until tomorrow. Na wao wenyewe wamesema kama assurance iko to be done tomorrow, then they are okay with waiting until tomorrow.
However, the organizations have raised over 1 million shillings to financially aid families who are affected by the protests. According to officials, the initiative targets to reach many affected Kenyans from across the counties. Gertrude Burgay, K24 TV.
By Getford Brigade brings us to a break on the New Dawn. When we come back, we take a look at what's making headlines on the dailies on this Friday, the 28th of June, as we take a look back at the top stories that have shaped the news and the headlines this week. We'll be coming back with a lot more on that. Our hashtag is New Dawn. Speak to us on X at K24 Tv. Do stay with us.